Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Today, inshallah, we will take chapter 17, lesson 2. What patterns can you see in the sky? With you, Mr. Sharif Abbas from Rima International School. At this lesson, inshallah, we will speak about the sun, moon, and the earth. First, the moon. The moon has two main movements like the earth. He is rotate around itself or around its axis and revolve around the earth. And revolution and rotation take 27.3 days. And the shape of its orbit around the earth, it is ellipse like the earth. And we know that the moon doesn't really produce its own light, but he reflects the sunlight. And the gravity between the moon and earth keeps the moon in its orbit. And we must know that the same side of the moon is always facing the earth. That's happened because each time it rotates once around its axis, it revolves once around its earth. That means the revolution time equals the rotation time. Now we will talk about the best part of this lesson, the moon phases. We can see different shapes of moon through the month. And we said that before, the moon doesn't produce on light, but it reflects the sunlight. And the phases depends on how much of sunlit side of moon faces Earth. The first phase, it is new moon. New moon, we can see it at the sky. That is at the last of the month. Then we have the crescent. Crescent, we see the crescent from the right, as you see as the picture. Then we have first quarter. Then we have full moon. Full moon, we can see all of the moon. Then we have last quarter. Then we have the last crescent, the crescent here from the left. Okay, last quarter and last crescent from the left. And new moon again. So it is new moon, crescent, first quarter from the right, and full moon, then last quarter, and crescent from the left. Can you save it? Thank you. Now it's your turn. That is your duty today at the home. You will try to make the phases of the moon using the Oreo as you see in the picture. Now we will see a video about the moon.
Is our nearest neighbor in space. It is much closer to us than the sun. It is only 239,000 miles away. The sun is 93 million miles away. The moon is much smaller than the Earth. The moon is not like the sun or other stars. It does not give off its own light. It only reflects the light of the sun. That means the sun's light bounces off it. A planet orbits a sun. A moon orbits a planet. The moon takes 28 days to go completely around the Earth. The moon is not smooth on its surface. It has craters, big holes. It has no air. It does not have water. So there is no life on the moon. But people have visited the moon. Neil Armstrong, an American astronaut, was the first person to step on the moon. Moon phases. The moon looks different at different times. Does it change its shape? No, the moon stays the same. What changes is how we see it from Earth. But we don't always see all of that side. Sometimes we only see part of it. This is because of the way it moves around the Earth. Remember that the moon only reflects the light of the sun. So, when the sun is behind the moon, we can't see it at all. We call this a new moon. The night is very dark. When the sun is facing the moon, we see the whole face of the moon lit up. This is called a full moon. What happens between the new moon and the full moon? We see only parts of the moon. First, we see just a little slice. Only a little of the sun's light is hitting the moon. It seems to get bigger each night. Then we can see half of the moon lit up. Each night we see more and more of it. Then finally we see the full moon. After that, it seems to get smaller again. We see less and less of it. Then we cannot see it at all. From Earth, it looks like the sun is not lighting up the moon. This is called the new moon. Then the cycle starts all over again. These are called the phases of the moon. The next time you're outside at night, look at the moon. Watch how it changes from one night to the next. Let us now summarize what we have learned.
Now we will speak about the eclipse. Eclipse is when the object in space come between sun and third object. It casts shadow on the object. And we have two main kinds of eclipse. Solar eclipse, repeat after me. Solar eclipse and lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse. Solar eclipse when the moon between Earth and Sun. When the moon at the middle between Earth and Sun, and moon casts shadow on Earth. But lunar eclipse, it is the Earth between moon and Sun. Earth between moon and Sun. Earth's shadow blocks sunlight from the moon. First, lunar eclipse. We have two kinds of lunar eclipse: partial lunar eclipse and total lunar eclipse. At partial eclipse, if only part of the moon is in Earth's shadow during the eclipse, the moon might look as if something took a bite out of it. This is a partial eclipse. But the total lunar eclipse, if the whole moon is in Earth's shadow, the eclipse is a total lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse can last as long as 100 minutes. It can happen several times in the same year. Solar eclipse. Solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes between the sun and Earth and casts its shadow on Earth. During a total solar eclipse, the day can become as dark as a night. Total solar eclipse lasts up to 7.5 minutes. Solar eclipse occur 2 to 5 times each year. Now we will speak about the stars. Stars, it's a hot balls of gases. We have about 1 billion trillion stars. That's a huge number. It's mean 1 beside 21 zeros. It's a very, very huge number. We must know that the sun is a star. Sun is medium-sized star. We can't see stars during the day because of the. That's because the sun is the closer star to the earth. Now, can you tell me why we can't see any star at the day? That's the question number 2. Now we will take the last thing at this lesson. It is constellations. Repeat after me. Constellations. Constellations. Constellations, it's mean the star patterns in the sky. We have about 88 constellations. The people in ancient, they look to the sky and try to find shapes at the sky. Constellations appear to rise in east and set in west. That's because Earth rotates on its axis. As you see, this is an example about the constellations, like Orion. Now we will see a video to describe the constellation.
Look what a starry sky we've got today. Have you ever wondered what the stars are? They seem to be small, cold, and bright dots. But in fact, they are huge, hot balls. Stars are shining because of the constant burning process that's going on inside of them. As a result of this burning, an enormous amount of light and heat is thrown into space. We see stars as tiny dots only because they are so far away from us. In order to get to even the closest star, not counting the sun, we would have to fly for more than 100,000 years. Stars differ in size, brightness, and color. Also, the stars can vary in temperature. Blue stars seem to be cold, but in fact they are the hottest ones, with a temperature of more than 30,000 degrees Celsius. White stars are a little cooler. Their temperature is more than 7,000 degrees. Yellow stars have a temperature of 5,000 to 6,000 degrees. Orange stars more than 3,500 degrees. Finally, the coldest stars are the red ones. Their temperature is more than 2,000 degrees. Do you know which star is closest to Earth? Of course, this is our Sun. The Sun is a yellow star, and its temperature is about 6,000 degrees. And this is how the Sun looks in comparison to some other larger stars. Sirius, Vega, Pollux, Arcturus, Aldebaran, Rigel, Antares, Betelgeuse. In ancient times, while observing stars, people grouped them into patterns called constellations. These constellations form a star map. Since the Earth rotates around its axis, the stars seem to move across the sky. It is actually the Earth which is moving. See? Only one star remains in its place all the time. This is the Polaris, or North Star. It is located directly above the North Pole. Earth's axis points directly toward the Polaris. Therefore, the Polaris indicates the direction due north. Let's locate the North Star in some constellations. The Big Dipper is a part of the constellation of Great Bear. Usually you can easily find it in the sky. If you connect the two extreme stars of the Big Dipper and then continue this line up to a bright star, you will find the Polaris. It's right on the edge of the handle of the Little Dipper, part of the Little Bear constellation. You can try to find some other constellations in the sky. This is Orion. It is easily recognizable by its belt made up of 3 stars. Cassiopeia. It looks like a letter W. Look, a shooting star! Of course, this is not actually a star, but a meteor. A meteor is a small fragment of an asteroid or comet that burns in the Earth's atmosphere. Real stars, of course, cannot fall down.
Thank you for listening. I hope you understand the lesson. With you, Mr. Sharif Abbas from Rima International School.